Okay,
Yeah.
good evening, everyone. Before I introduce our panelists and diving into today's content, let's get to know you better. We want to understand who's in the room. So I'm going to do a quick poll, okay? You're going to see something pop up in your screen, and I want you to pick which role you're at in your practice. So are you a dentist owner, an office manager, billing insurance coordinator, front desk team member, and all of our other important team members in the background? Well, it looks like we've got I got some dentist owners, office managers, our billing insurance coordinators. That's awesome. Got some front desk team members. All right. I think we've got it. Looks like we still have some people polling here. All right, so here's the results. We've got 12% that are attending. You guys are the dentist owners, 19% being the office managers and billing insurance coordinators at a 37%. Obviously, this is an important role for you and an important webinar. Thank you so much for attending. Our wonderful front desk team members, as well as I'd like to know who the others are. So if you put something in the chat for me, would love to know who our other employees are or team members, okay? And Ish, if you could see the chat, or Penny, feel free to check it out and see who are our other team members that are polling here. There's 24% of them. So obviously people that are very interested in attending tonight's webinar. Thank you so much. Appreciate it all. Okay,
It's
here we
great
go.
to see we have lead dental assistants in the house. That's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yep. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right, perfect. I love seeing this mix. Oh, I keep getting more. It keeps popping up. Let me share the results. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Joel, you're going to have to probably help me with this because it keeps popping up as polls and quizzes. Joel is our nice assistant behind the scenes. But once again, I think the attendees that we have here are the most attendees that we have going on here. And I'm sorry, team, because it keeps popping up. This polling thing keeps popping up. Most of you all are billing insurance coordinators as well as other. And did we find out who the other demographics are?
Yeah,
Ish,
business office, RCM, director of RCM. So very business and RCM driven, RCM adjacent, and office managers, owners. So yeah.
All right, perfect. Okay, so I love seeing this mix in the audience today. So we've got decision makers, operational folks, and the people who deal with the day-to-day RCM challenges. And that tells me that we're going to have some great questions and real world perspectives. Now let's go over the agenda. So before I introduce myself, I would like to let you all know that I've got some great speakers here with me today. I've got Ish, who is a CEO of Dental Center, as well as Penny, who is our Senior Operating Manager for Alpha Dental. And Ish, I'd like for you and Penny to talk about yourself.
You go first, Penny.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Penny. I'm Penny Fleep. I'm a Senior Operating Manager for Alpha Dental. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this great webinar tonight. I see a lot of faces. That's awesome. As operating manager, I run my RCM team. I try to create workflows and systems that improve communications, whether in office or with patients. It's kind of a passion to me. So this webinar kind of fits what I like to do every day. So thank you for inviting me again.
You're welcome. Ish?
All right, so I wear multiple hats. We have a group office here in the Annapolis, Maryland area. My wife is the owner dentist. We have multiple locations, providers, and I half jokingly say that I'm one man corporate. I take care of all the headache that no one wants to deal with. And the idea is that everybody is focused on patient care and patient engagement. And I deal with anything to do with RCM, anything billing, anything that runs the numbers, moves the revenue needle, I say. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. As far as my background goes, I'm an engineer, consultant, and of course now an operator in healthcare business.
That's awesome. Thanks, Ish. And then myself, Maria Fuertes, VP at CareRevenue. I've been in the industry for several decades now, helping people that, I've been in the trenches with the dental practices, as well as Ish and Penny can attest here that they're in there as well, helping people fix their RCM systems, which is so important, so that they can get paid faster and stop leaving money on the table. And this is something that Ish and Penny and I have actually talked about at length prior to even meeting today. So let's go now to the cover slide. All right. So with respect to the agenda, here's exactly what we're going to accomplish together in the next 15 minutes. We'll start with a reality check, those frustrating moments we all have with RCM. Then we'll show you the specific performance benchmarks that top practices achieve, and why most practices fall short. I'm sure you've all been there, right? We'll walk through our 5-pillar framework that transforms our practices from constantly putting out fires to preventing them. And then you'll see a real case study of a practice that was losing nearly $200,000 annually without even realizing it. So more importantly, you'll leave with a specific 4-phase action plan that you can start implementing immediately. Plus, we'll calculate exactly what these improvements could mean to your practice's bottom line. And by the end, you'll know exactly where your practice stands and what steps to take first. So let's go over the case study. We're going to call this Dr. Smith. And, let me tell you about Dr. Smith. This could be any of us, right? So Dr. Smith ran a 3-doctor practice doing about 2.4 million in annual production. Beautiful office, busy schedule, monthly reports that looked pretty good. And if you walk through his practice, you'd think this guy's got it all figured out. But here's the thing, and I've seen this story play out dozens of times. Everything wasn't as rosy as it looked. And when we did our deep dive RCM analysis, we found some eye-opening numbers. 180,000 just sitting in aged receivables. That's like having a luxury car parked in your driveway that you forgot that you owned. A 23% claim denial rate, meaning nearly 1 in 4 claims were coming back like a boomerang, right? Average payment time of 47 days. So money was taking a nice little 7-week vacation. And before showing up in his bank account, his staff was spending about 15 plus hours. I'm sure this probably resonates with a lot of you out there. Every single week, just chasing down denied claims. And the real kicker, the annual revenue loss of 192,000. That's over 2 years of, gosh-ish, that was like what, 384,000 that should have been in his pocket. Plus his staff was burnt out and patients were getting frustrated with billing issues. So now here's my question for you, and be honest. Could this be happening in your practice without you even knowing it? Because Dr. Smith would have sworn up and down that he had his RCM dialed in. Does this sound familiar to anyone? Right. These are kind of like hard conversations, and these examples may resonate with you, but these are true examples, and that's the reason why we're here today. So let's be honest with ourselves, right? I like to say here, do these comments sound familiar to you, or your thoughts? Maybe thinking at the end of the day or during the day, let's be honest with ourselves. Are you saying that I don't know why this claim was denied again? So kind of think about this for yourselves, right? I want everyone to participate. This only works if you're real, and where we are right now, raise your hand if you've had any of these in the past month. So I don't know why this claim was denied again. And Ish and Penny, if you can maybe keep track of perhaps the raised hands for those of us that are not shy. Whoops.
I'm seeing a lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah. They're going up
With the
now.
next bullet point, right?
I'll
We're
raise my
still,
hand. Maybe that'll
okay,
encourage you to truly be honest. Yeah.
right. How about the next one? We're still waiting on payments from procedures done 90 days ago. My front desk spends more time on insurance calls than scheduling patients. That's something that we hear all throughout the industry.
Very common.
Yep. I want to thank all of you that are being vulnerable right now and raising your hands. I really do appreciate that. How about this? I have no idea what our actual collection rate is. I know I'm going too fast. Sorry, team. And then this is something I hear a lot too. We're constantly putting out fires instead of preventing them.
This one's getting a lot of hands.
Yeah, been there, done that on a lot of these.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Ish and Penny, you can attest to it as well. Does it
Mm.
resonate with you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if you raised your hand even once, and I see most of you did, you're not alone. Once again, thanks for being vulnerable. You're exactly where you need to be today. These aren't signs of failure. They're symptoms of fixable system problems. So this is a hard conversation, right? The 3 a.m. questions every dental practice owner asks. So what keeps you up at night? What are the deeper questions that gnaw at you when you're lying in bed at 3 a.m.? Am I leaving money on the table and I don't even know it? Do I have enough money to cover payroll and pay the bills? So these aren't just anxiety, these are legitimate business concerns that point to real problems and in how we handle our revenue cycle. And the uncomfortable truth is most practices are leaving significant money on the table. All right, so Ish, let's talk about this. And Penny, the uncomfortable truths, right? Let's rip off the Band-Aid. How much, tell me frankly, when you were going through your journey, what were you actually experiencing? Because I know a lot of us here that are attending have also actually are either A, they're going through it right now, or B, they've got systems in place and want to know if there's anything else I need to do. Ish, Penny?
I can go first very, very quickly. For us, the journey had some points where I wasn't as aware of the business, right? Even being a consultant and having a business degree and having all the experience I had across businesses, it took a lot of time to really learn and understand the dental business. And until I got that knowledge, it was very difficult to even know where to look for with respect to leaking the revenue. So everyone thinks that, hey, we're doing great because you don't know to look at that part where you're constantly leaking a little bit. And it could be, that 8 to 15%, the first one, the potential revenue. You don't know until you've turned over every rock. And that's where we were in terms of understanding the business, the code. What is the economic engine in this business? How to operate that? How to keep maintaining the business? Where to look for? Those were very difficult discoveries, I would say, very expensive discoveries, because of course you can't always go back. There is a clock in terms of how late you can go back and what you can reset. So there was what is lost is unfortunately lost forever in many cases because you miss
When
the
did
miss
you,
the train.
yeah, when did you figure that out in your journey?
At least 9, if not 12 months in. So like I said, it was very
Early on.
expensive early on, but we got the practice, then came COVID, so there was a shutdown. There were lots of people that churned and changed. So that was a big shock to start with. And on top of that, going through credentialing changes, a lot of these things you identify when you change. Unfortunately, the good or the bad is that if you leave it running the way it is in a less efficient state, it might probably continue trickling through and you wouldn't notice anything. But one challenge is to identify, but the second challenge is to change. And the moment you try to change, you do face the carriers and the requirements and the coding and the collection and the tracking and the claims, the denials. It's a whole different challenge to even, scale that mountain afterward. So it took a lot of time.
Right.
to identify and then address.
And like with multiple locations, you know, I mean, how did you get everybody aligned, let's say? You know, because
I can't.
Clinicians, dental assistants, I mean, everybody has a responsibility and accountability, right? And being able to,
I can't truthfully claim that I have finished aligning them. It's a never-ending battle.
right, okay.
Maybe Penny can enlighten us because she runs a much larger organization.
I have the same struggles. At the beginning, you look at an RCM, and really, you don't know how deep it goes until you get into the KPIs and all that. And I think creating one platform that everybody follows is something, it's ongoing. You feel like, okay, I have it down, good to go, and then you go to another struggle. So I think it's be able to kind of divide and conquer and kind of go, okay, this is the new direction. Let's all go this direction. But every
Mhm.
single day it's a new thing that's going on, and we try to do our best to keep up to it.
Mhm.
I see
So
a
Penny,
comment, training. That's exactly right.
Correct.
I mean,
right,
Correct.
I heard somewhere someone said, I wish I came up with it on my own, but someone said that, look, there may be fancy titles, but my role really is chief repeating officer. And you just keep on repeating, and hopefully it
And then
sticks
you
at some
repeat it
point.
again.
Everything. It takes work, it takes discipline. It's not
right.
glamorous, I'll say that.
I think you're both being too modest because like I know repeating. It's kind of like insanity, right? That hamster wheel. But it got to a point where I think that you two, and I'm sure that we can um, go into it a little bit more as to, you know, getting off that hamster wheel, if you will, which is, I think, something that, you know, everybody talks about, like, we've got a great, you know, formula for you, or we have the resolutions for you. But I think that, and I can speak to this as well as both of you, it takes intention. You know, what's our intention as once we find out where the problems are, right? What are your intentions? And then number two, you know, how do you get the buy-in from your team members? And I think that's very, very important. And Penny, I know that you do a lot of exercises and you've done some wonderful things as well-ish within your organization. I think it'd be great to share that with our viewers today, because there's really not one formula, but we're going to go ahead and give our viewers today pearls of wisdoms, if you will, and examples. So I know I'm kind of quick on the trigger here for moving the slide fairly quickly. So sorry about that. But we're going to get to the another poll, and because I love interactions and engagement, and I just want to make sure that you all are paying attention. Okay, so this is a quick self-assessment. Let's find out where you stand right now. Whoopsies. Here I go. I'm swearing, Joel, I think that maybe perhaps next time you need to be part of the slide deck presenter. So let's find out where you stand right now. I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Rate your practice on each of these areas from 1 to 5, where 1 is poor and 5 is excellent. So with respect to claims processing speed, how quickly and cleanly do you submit claims? And we'll talk a little bit about that, because I've seen a gamut of what is considered clean claims and what is not, right? Denial management is a big, huge thing in the industry right now. How effectively do you handle and prevent denials? Patient collection, how smoothly do you collect patient portions? AR management, how well do you manage outstanding receivables? Technology integration, how automated are your RCM process? So Joel, you want to go ahead and put out the poll? And our viewers out there, let's go ahead and vote now. Okay, so once again, claims processing speed, how quickly and cleanly do you submit claims? Denial management, how effectively do you handle and prevent denials? Patient collection, how smoothly do you collect your patient portions? Do you collect it before the patient gets to the chair or after at checkout? And then AR management, how well do you really manage outstanding receivables? technology integration, and Penny and Ish can talk about that. What types of technologies they're using, they're outsourcing third party, if you will, as well for revenue cycle. How automated are your RCM processes? So let's take a look at this. Penny, Ish, you're gonna need to help me, okay? Because there's a lot.
Sure. I was manually doing it. As a panelist, I can't vote, but I was manually doing it. And then Valerie shared her number. You did beat me. So
Awesome.
begrudging thumbs up to you.
Yeah. So looks like we got several hands up here in claims processing speed. We'll talk about that. Denial management. Okay.
I don't see the result unless you close it. So I'm waiting to find out too.
Okay.
We're very interested in the results.
All right. I'm going to share the results. Do you all see it?
I can
All
see
right.
it.
All right, here we go. Claims processing speed. We got fours.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's the winner there?
Yep.
Is everyone seeing the result or no? I think everyone should be, right?
Yeah, I would hope so.
Good.
Uh,
Perfect.
thank you for the person who raised your hand. I appreciate it very much. Denial management. So we've got some fours, threes, and teetering here.
Even split? Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Patient collection.
Patient collection. This is great. Usually we see a huge delta for like zeros and ones, if you will, in the past. So you all are doing something right. Let's get you to a 5, as well as in the other.
Especially with the technology one, it's the 3s and 2s that's the winner.
Area management is a 3.
Yep.
Okay.
I think everyone was very honest looking at the numbers.
Yeah, looks like a 2. Technology.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think we're very thankful to have you all being once again vulnerable and answering very honestly. So let me do this. All right, here's your scoring. If you were to add up your scores, 20 to 25, you're ahead of the curve. You're in the top 10% of practices. 15 to 19, you have room for significant improvement, but you're not alone. 10 to 14, you have major opportunities for revenue recovery. And below 10, you need a critical RCM overhaul. But the good news is that you have the most upside potential. So it looks like if we're to look at this like high level-ish, do you think that most of them scored between 10 and 19?
I think so, right?
Yeah.
That most of them were there.
Right. Penny, what do you think?
Yes, I agree. 10 to 19.
Yeah. So you know what that means? There's real money waiting to be recovered in your practice.
And capability too, because if you do need the radical help, then it requires major retooling usually. That means you need to fill a lot of seats versus if you're in the 10, 15 to 19 area, then it's smaller tweaks with greater upside.
Because like obviously DSOs are going to be averaging obviously different than solo practices as well. Multiple specialties. Sometimes specialists may get paid a lengthier time, if you will, because there's pre-auths involved, or let's say, referrals were not included. So I think it runs the gamut, but it's up to you and what your practice culture is that, what are you all doing to keep yourselves on top of your processes? I think process and systems are very, very important in this case. Which is what I've seen in the industry, where I think people just have come up with their own systems, but they're not measuring it. And I think this is the one thing that we're going to be talking about next, which I know that the both of you have. Let's see here. Whoops. Are really, really passionate about KPIs and metrics. I mean, so what are they, right? So KPIs are key performance indicators, and where should you be? I mean, there's a lot of information here, but you really got to ask yourself, and this is something that no one really talks about clean claim rates. So top practices hit about 90%, 5% or higher. Most practices are stuck at 75 and 85. That 10 to 20% difference means 1 in 5 of your claims has problems that delay payment. Examples, Penny-ish, you can just jump in here. Examples I've seen, x-rays, pre-post that are not there, narratives.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can add a little bit there because it's all about fixing the problem upstream. It's as simple as that. If you don't fix the problem upstream, it will cast a huge shadow and it is much, much, much more difficult. Early on, this was something that we were wrong about as well, that we kind of dealt with all of the things at the tail end of the process. But now the difference is that we do understand that it has a lot to do with operations. The people in the room need to know that for this procedure, this is what needs to go with the claim. So the claim, the narrative, the image, the x-ray, all of those things, it's not about your biller knowing it. It's many times your assistant knowing it and your doctor knowing it, that what to include in their notes and narratives, which images you need to capture, or someone making sure that the x-ray we captured is the correct tooth. It's something where you can actually read a diagnosis. Yes, there are ways you can use technology at the tail end to recover some of that. We can discuss that later, but it does go into training your operations.
So
Definitely agree.
yeah, I mean, I know that there's a school of thought out there. There's some practices that I've come across where they would rather send out the claims and wait for the denials, which I think is counterproductive. I really truly believe, I think you hit the nail on the head with respect to operations. It's people, processes, and systems that's very, very important. There is a lot of like heavy lifting in upstream that you have to do so you can get these claims paid. Now, Penny, I think that there was one time I had visited your practices, and I think one of your managers told me that, I don't know what's happening, and this is when you first came onto CareStack, but you were getting paid, used to get paid for this one plan or carrier, if you will, 2 weeks, but then now you're getting paid within 5 days.
Correct.
And I'm kind of curious as to what did you do to get all your locations like kind of rowing in the same direction, because clean claims rate is something that people have actually, we'll worry about that later. Let's just go ahead and get these claims out so that whatever gets paid, it gets paid. And then what comes back, we'll deal with it then. Your thoughts on that?
I think all of us are looking for that clean claim rate because you don't want to be waiting 45 days to get paid or 60 days. I think the emphasis, like I totally agree with him, is the actual clinical team needs to know what they need for to show the insurances to apply these payments to. If we don't, it doesn't. It just delays the payment and delays the payment, and then you have an RCM that's over 60, 90, 120 days because you were waiting for the proper x-ray or the proper narrative or the proper pre-auth. And I think getting your clinical team to think the same way and actually make the connection between the clinical and the front desk, that's very important when you come to what you need for certain claims.
So doctor owners out there, as well as, decision makers, I know that a lot of you may, raise your hand. I'm not asking you to raise your hand in this, but I know that in my experience, and I know both of you, Ish and Penny, where you may have a doctor that's just, I've done all my treatment, but maybe I haven't done my chart notes. When do they go back in to even complete it? How long are you actually holding those claims? That's part of your clean claims rate. Like that's holding it back.
Clean and timely, yeah.
Correct. Yep.
I would say that if I put my consultant hat on in this point and just kind of zoom out from my office and my situation, things are different for larger organizations because there you have the corporate mandating a lot of discipline. But for smaller groups and individual offices, that's more of a challenge. You may have one doctor who likes to do it in a certain way, and if you're part of a bigger group or if you're part of a DSO, you may say that, look, you are required by contract to complete your notes within 24 to 48 hours. But try telling that to the solo owner as the office manager saying, talk to
Yep,
me.
or owner with other associates that are working there.
Exactly. So those are difficult conversations. It's when you were just saying that when you're giving that example of waiting for the EOB. Well, while I was going through this survey as well, I gave ourselves 5 on the timeliness and technology.
Mhm.
But when it came to denial management and patient collection, I gave ourselves 2 and 3. And the reason being, we don't know how to have hard conversations. We kind of send the claim out, get a denial, get something from the insurance as the EOB, and that is our crutch to have the right conversation. So it
Yeah,
does require finesse, people skill, operations, a lot of things that do come into play. And we outsource the conversation. We're guilty of it. We're at fault. And that's what we're trying to address right now, that how can we get ahead of this,
Mhm.
not have the same conversation 60 days from now as opposed to today.
Correct. Like, or even the little things that does not happen, because I think that what it all comes down to is at the pre-arrival. Penn, you and I were talking about this at length, right? Not collecting the right information. Like, what are the things that you've seen that you've finally had to implement and state that everybody needs to do it this way, so that we're not missing information. I think that people are kind of lax at that. So I just don't want to think that the clinical people are being picked on right now. But it's just basically all departments are accountable. So Penn, your
I,
clean claim.
like being, like I said, we're, a bigger DSO. The challenges are very real, but we kind of we implement protocols and workflows that to help the staff kind of manage, but be able to get the right information demographic wise, insurance cards. It's literally a game changer because
Mhm.
otherwise your actual database is not correct. So how can you submit a correct claim if that actual initial assessment is not being done correctly? So I think my staff is pretty good at that. It was a little bit challenging at the beginning, like anything, but now they're getting into collecting the cards, making sure everything is spelled correctly, make sure the demographics is all correct. Because this way, the first, again, the first, battleground is taking place, and we are getting used to get that process done quicker.
I'm sure. I mean, like, that's a lot of admin people that you're having to ensure that they're all in sync and rowing in the same direction.
Mhm.
That took you how long to get everybody, maybe what?
It took at least 12 months to get that changed.
Mhm. And did you measure it? And I know I'm like on this clean claims rate, but I'm going to tell you viewers now, if you can get this right, just think about how much faster you're going to get paid. Seriously, because I've seen it happen. Penn, you're going to say
Pound for
That's
pound, this is the biggest. Pound
go
for
with that.
pound, this is the biggest thing you can do to help yourself. Absolutely.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and jump into days in accounts receivable. So best practices, collect in under 30 days, and most practices are at 45 to 60 plus days. That's an extra month. Your money's actually sitting out there earning nothing. I remember having this exercise with one of my offices that, our days sales outstanding, our DSO, if you will, was atrocious. And so we just did this really simple exercise where we gave them, like, here's $1,000 of monopoly money, right? Patient comes in, insurance portion is 1,000. So we billed the claim. And, it took about maybe 3 weeks for us to find out that it was being denied because we were missing something. So that $1,000 is still waiting out there. Then by the time that we actually corrected that claim and it went back to the insurance company, by now it's going like maybe close to 45, maybe 60 days that it's being processed. I don't think people realize that measuring your days sales outstanding or DSO or your accounts receivables is really critical. And there's extra money that's sitting out there earning nothing. But why? Why should you continue to do so? Penn-ish, what did you do to bring your DSO down?
And you want to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I can go. So I would say it's worse than not earning money. Your money is earning money on someone else's behalf. Someone
Right, I don't
else is
think,
holding your money for a month and getting high interest returns. So the way I see it and say it is that we all know about snakes and ladders. When you're talking insurance and RCM, you're basically playing a game of coupons and rebates. Rebates are given with an implicit understanding that a lot of people will forget to file their rebate at the correct time in the correct way. The claims are a lot like that. I mean, insurance coverage is a coupon that people get, and what we get and in return is a lot like submitting a rebate. So don't sleep on your rebate and lose it. And that's something that's very, very important to take care of. That's the mindset that it's my money, I have to go get it. Otherwise, someone else is sitting on it getting free interest.
Mhm.
I
Pen,
definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that because it's money that's sitting. And if you're not on top of that, it just extends the period of time that you're collecting. It's the cleaner the claim, the better your reimbursements will be. And again, somebody else is grabbing and staying with that money. And when you constantly resubmitting a correction of claims, that money just sits, and then 45, and then 45 becomes 60, and then 90, and then
Yeah.
that becomes a problem. So I think that is very important. Keep on top of your claims.
and I think like, keeping on top of the claims is really, you got to really stay on top of calling the insurance companies. And more and so now. I mean, I think that there's a lot of, how do you say this, insurance companies taking over other insurance companies, from what I've been seeing of late. Can get very confusing, obviously after a while. But yes, please learn how to, and you know what, we'll give you some pointers after this, but you can also email me and I can help send you some information, okay? So collection rate, top practices, they collect about 98% or more of what they bill, and most practices collect, I would say, between 85% to 92. On a $1 million practice, that's like about a 16 to 13% difference, which is about 60,000 to 130,000 annually. I mean, just think about that, right? That's important. And I'm sure you're all measuring this as well. Your claims denial rate. We already talked about this. It should be under 5% versus the 15 to 25% for most practices. And then payment posting time. I think best practices post payments the same day they arrive, and most practices take about 3 to 7 days, which delays your ability to follow up on outstanding claims. It actually lengthens your day sales outstanding. So I just want to let you all know that the metrics here are from top performing practices and how they operate, so that you can see the gap. And these are not aspirational goals. These are actually achievable benchmarks that thousands of practices can hit consistently. And the gap between where most practices are and where they should be represents real money being left at the table. All right, so let's get to the next slide. All right, core reality. Ish, I'm going to have you take this over because you love to talk about this at length.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on a little bit of this as well. It's about how much money you're leaving on the table. And again, it's one thing to not be aware of it. We all have those unknowns in life, but understanding it and scaling it, if you're $1 million practices, that $100,000 to $200,000, you take that money times 10 years, that's your debt service, that's your kids' college, that's your whatever it is you want to do, that's your retirement, that's the margin basically. And it is very difficult. And I think we do need to acknowledge that, especially in the high interest rate environment that we're living in right now, it's a lot of money. There's not much that we can squeeze in terms of the revenue, but these inefficiencies are definitely something that we have to take a good look at. Those five, I would say, top KPIs out of 20 you can have, at
Yeah,
least start staring at them, is what I would say. If you had, look at this, if you had $100,000 stock portfolio, you would wake up every morning and stare at that, and you'd be very highly triggered if that went up by $1,000 or down by $1,000. If you have $1,000, I mean $100,000 of your money, would you not look at it? So get into that habit. And I'm seeing a very good question about how to track on CareStack, and I think we can cover those tactical things as well as to on CareStack where to go and how to track.
right. Most definitely. So I think that one of the things that we said, again, I know that that probably our viewers are saying, like, we're saying this more and more. Yes, systematic improvements can recover this money while reducing your staff stress. And why are you there to begin with, right? Why are we there? Why are we helping people that help people? That's us, CareRevenue and CareStack. But we know that your focus should be improving your patient experience. So I would love for you to go back to see, how much time are your team members spending, instead of, let's say, maybe calling your patients to come back for, treatment that's been diagnosed, and they probably have some maximums left. And you shouldn't wait until the end of the year, like that, use it or lose it. You should have something in place where you're actually running reports or finding a way to set up a campaign, have your team members talk about this all the time, getting people back into the practice, right? So we shouldn't wait until, like, you're use it or lose it, with respect to revenue. But I think the core message today is, like, most practices are losing 10 to 20% of revenue to RCM inefficiencies. And this money can be recovered while reducing the staff stress, right? So if you make this personal, if you're like a $1 million practice, that's about 100 to 200K in recoverable revenue annually. A $2 million practice, 200 to 400 recoverable annually, and then 300 to 600K in recoverable annually. So that this isn't theoretical money. This is money you've already earned that's either not being collected or taking too long to collect. And the question is, are you ready to go get it?
Yeah, I can add something here because there is a question from one of the attendees, and I don't want to let it sit, and we can take more
Thank you.
Q&A till the end. Do spend a little bit of time in the operations report area, and if you go there, of course, you can run the claims report detail, and it's an Excel. You can take it, run your measurements. The title columns do make sense. How many you submitted? What's the value? When did you submit? I tell everyone that when you're using CareStack and when you're running the reports, understand the way the, the flow of money works in CareStack. You have your date of service, you have your date of first claim submission, you have the date of payment or the date of resubmission, and then you have your date of transaction. So there is a timeline for the
Yeah.
life cycle of every code within an appointment. So you're creating that claim, submitting it. It may have 5 codes, out of which 3 are paid right off the bat within 13 days, and then it sits at your office for 10 days. You need to know that hey, your insurance is doing a great job of paying you quickly. You're the one delaying it, or you're waiting for the other 2 and you're fighting back and forth. How many times you're going? So those are the reports that you can run from the claims report. You can create your custom flags, and I'm sure the account managers can help with it because we have spent extensive amount of time with them to curate this. Then you can also run the analytics dashboard because that actually has a lot of these packaged KPIs, the top, I forgot how many, 100 and something KPIs that we have. So you can create your mosaic. And where we have moved to in our office, it is difficult to be everywhere at the same time. It's difficult to talk to everyone, but we do have those analytics dashboards with those. Yeah, I'm sure someone can help you teach that. The question
Yeah.
was, can someone teach?
Well,
Absolutely.
yes.
Operationally, yeah, sorry,
Right.
go ahead, sorry.
No, I think that, y'all can actually email me, and better yet, I will get you in touch with your account manager
Mhm.
or your client success manager, wherever you're at in the journey, in your journey with CareStack. If you're in
Yeah.
CareRevenue, that would be your revenue account manager as well. Okay,
Very
so
quickly, operations wise, just to finish the thought,
sure.
we do use that the analytics dashboard because it is live. You don't have to export something, print or
Yes.
download, attach, send by mail. In real time, 2 people 100 miles apart are looking at the same thing. So you can have your billing office somewhere else and your, locations in different places. We have created different dashboards on the analytics dashboard area, depending on the persona of the user, and shared with them selectively. And periodically, you would sit in and look at, hey, why is your paying claim rate, say, drop? Why has it dropped by 10% month over month and things like that?
Right.
Sorry, I know I took a detour from
I know,
the
that's okay. I mean,
program,
like,
but
these are
there was a
all
question
important
I wanted to
questions
answer that.
because, yeah, no, totally get it. And then I know that Penny is going to be talking about this even more so once we get into the 5 pillars of Streamline RCM. So right now we're going to talk about the perfect storm facing dental practices today. But why is this happening? Why are RCM challenges getting worse instead of better? It's because we're facing a perfect storm of changes. You've got insurance landscape changes. I mean, Penny, what was that had happened where was it your MPIs or something like that was just like erased?
Yes. One of the major payers totally erased our tax ID, and obviously we pull KPIs monthly, so we caught it before it became a really big issue. That's again, they merged, the one payer merged to another payer, and somehow we got erased. This is things that if we didn't pull the KPIs, I love KPIs, so I have to be honest. I wouldn't be able to track it. I would track it 6 months, 60 days ahead and go, oh, why I don't get paid.
Right.
So I think that's very important. Pull those KPIs, make sure you do, and save them as your favorites. So you're always looking at them very easily, and it's very important. You never realize how important it is until you get really deep into the nitty gritty of the system.
Correct. I mean, that's kind of scary that they had wiped it out, and had you not, called the carrier very quickly, you would have never known that.
No.
Yep.
And they didn't mention anything either. So
Yep. So it's a lot of digging around. I mean, you have to be very diligent, and you shouldn't take no for an answer, or it's being processed or something else. You got to really take control of your monies that are you're expecting from these insurance companies. Okay. There's also technology expectations here. Patients are expecting digital payment options and complete transparency about costs. Your staff needs automation to handle increasing complexity efficiently. Penny, I know that you use CS Pay. And how has that worked with respect to collecting patient payments?
oh, it was 100% change from before.
Okay.
Because now the patients can, they're in their homes, they can, make payment anytime for their convenience. We're all very busy, so it helps them. We do text to pay, they can pay on the portal. It's just so much more efficient. That turnover was 100%. And that helps us with eliminating those, outstanding balance from patients. That's a game changer.
So it sounds like you've also trained your patients, if you will. You've given them the expectations that obviously payment is due at time of service, and if not, I'm going to text you so that you can pay it, or pay
Correct.
it prepaid before you come in. Correct.
Correct. We use we do the appointment, post appointment. We always try to communicate with the patient as much as we can.
Mhm.
So this way they know. We use that as a ideal tool for us to get those
Yeah.
collections up.
And I love the tokenization feature part of CS Pay, because guess what? If I left my credit card, if I already ran it through CS Pay, that credit card is already in file. I would say, Penny, how would you like to pay the $1,000? Do you want me to charge it on your credit card number with the last 4 digits of 4111?
And patients love that because I forgot my wallet, didn't bring it, whatever the situation. Yeah, don't have a check. And I think that even the patient appreciates that. Yeah, even patients appreciate that because we can say, oh, you want to just run your card on file? They're like, oh, awesome, you have it on file, great.
Right.
So I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I love that tokenization piece with CareStack Pay. So there's also economic pressures. Inflation is affecting your overhead costs. The staff shortage means you need more people, or you need your people focused on high value activities, not administrative busy work, right? And the competition requires you to deliver a faster, smoother patient experience. So this storm, folks, is not going away. It's getting worse. Let's just make it better for yourselves and your organization, your practices. I know that you all want to adapt and thrive, and you don't want to continue to struggle. So let's get into the 5 pillars.
Yeah, can I add something very quickly?
Sure.
Again, putting the consultant hat again. I've spent so much time in healthcare technology due diligence that it's hard to stop thinking like that. One of the key things that is asked and inquired of every business is how are you collecting payment and how are you posting it, right? In
Mhm.
consulting, there is this term called swivel chair action. And it's like you're taking the payment here and then you're turning around on a different screen, you're punching it in. You have just introduced an opportunity for error. That's the thing. Do not allow any opening for an error. I'm not plugging CS Pay, even though I use it, love it. You can have any system, but if it is not integrated and if it is not directly going to the chart, if you can't take a payment and just put it in that bucket of codes within the
Right.
system on the same screen, if you have to look at a number and type, you are bound to make a mistake at some point. So that's something definitely to keep in mind. And to add to what Penny was saying in terms of advance payment, that's also something you will notice that we talk about RCM and or anytime you mention RCM, primarily we talk insurance, 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 but RCM also includes patients. And at
That's
the
right.
end of the day, what you're doing is that you want to make sure that you get your payment for the doctor's time. And if it's a doctor who's a specialist, or if it's a patient who is notorious for canceling, you can send that text to pay ahead of time to secure that appointment. You don't have to call, they don't have to send a check, nothing like that. So that kind of frictionless experience does matter. And if you make it frictionless, or in this generation, this time, if people don't have to talk, they'd rather have that option.
That's right. You're so right. But that just it makes it so much easier. And I like what you said about, there's that room for error. I just remember, team members that would run a credit card through a separate credit card machine, then having to punch in the amount separately, right, into the software. There's that keystroke error, or maybe
Yeah.
perhaps they lost the slip, something to that nature. Yeah, there is error for that. Um, you've got it right. So you got to be very diligent. And once again, it's processes and systems that need to be put into place. Thanks for that, Ish. Thanks, Penny. Can I move on to the 5 pillars?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All righty. So here are the 5 pillars of streamlined RCM. So remember, RCM is not just insurance, but it's also patient balances, patient aging. So how do top performing practices handle this? Well, they use a systematic approach built on 5 pillars. And let me show you our framework first. Then I want to hear from Ish and Penny about what resonates most with them from the real world experience. And these 5 pillars all work together to create a system that prevents problems rather than constantly reacting to them. I always talk about this. Let's not be reactive. Let's be proactive. I think I should have proactive as like my name. I say that all the time. So prevention over reaction, number one. Technology as your force multiplier is another leg of your pillar. Team alignment and accountability. This is so important that you have all departments, aligned to the culture, your goals, and then also rowing in the same direction. The patient financial experience. I can't tell you the times that I've come across where, people don't want to collect. Well, you've done a service. Don't devalue your service that you provided to your patient, right? So definitely there was that expectation to collect. They're going to the grocery store, they got to pay money for the milk. Hair person, salon, you got to pay. Medical, you got to pay. So they should be paying their portion with you as well. And then data-driven decision making. I just love the fact that we talk about data because data is king. What you put in is what you get out. So once again, putting your systems and processes into place is critically important. So now, Ish, looking at these 5 pillars, which one resonates most with you based on your experience transforming your practices?
Um, Mine was actually the first one, the prevention, because again, we're a family office, group of family offices. The trust matters.
Trust.
We're not quite at that size where I can have a dedicated billing center. So
Mhm.
my offices do the work. And when I walked in, one of the most frustrating things operationally, again, I view the world through the lens of operations.
Mhm.
One of the most frustrating things was no one ever considered the actual cost of certain actions. we need to take an
Right.
X-ray for clinical reasons. The hygienist would stop the work, they would walk to the front, and the office manager would stop what they're doing. They'd call insurance, they'd wait 20 minutes and then they'll get some sort of clarity in terms of whether it's covered or not. Then go
Mhm.
ahead and they'll go ahead and take it. The schedule is sliding, the next patient's here. What's the dollar value of it?
Yeah.
I mean, are we, it's what, a $20 reimbursement, $17 reimbursement? I would rather know it up front because there are patients who would pay $500 without a question, but they will hold up the line for $17. It does happen. I'm sure all of you have seen patients like that. But that's where the prevention part matters. It did inform our operations because we do utilize CareRevenue. Again, I don't mean to plug the service, I am happy to. But our operations changed completely so that in our care stack system, we have the the breakouts right there on the screen. Every hygienist in our office knows this is where you hover, this is where you click. You see right there when the last exam was, you see right there when
Mhm.
the last x-ray was. Is it something that they're eligible for or not? No one has to
Right.
come, and the trains keep running on time. So for me, the prevention was the most important thing because my days used to end. We were scheduled to see patients until 5, but no one left the office until, I don't know, 6:40. And I was
Mhm.
like, what's going on?
So there were
That
lag
was
times
the number
then.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Penny, from your operational standpoint, which of these pillars has the biggest impact in the practices you've worked with?
And me is the team alignment and accountability. Um, as you know, when we first started RCM, it was not a smooth sailing because we had all the practices had different PMSs and workflows. And honestly, I don't think the data was very transparent.
Mhm.
And by saying that, it was like all of us had a different language. We couldn't get into one language that we all understood.
Right.
So, with that said, I think deal alignment is the key. Clinical staff needs to know they need X-rays, pre-op, post-op. They need all that information, and the front desk needs to know that they need the right documentation. They need to know what are we looking for, and I think that to me that's the main concern of mine when I first started is getting the team to align to do everybody doing the same way, all the systems.
But
That became
understanding the reasons why, right? Like why this has
right.
to happen.
Mhm. Because when you go from 18 PMSs and you go to one, it's always a struggle a little bit.
Mhm.
But
Right.
after a while you get it, you get the hang of it, quote unquote, and you start going forward.
Right. Right.
So here's the funny thing, and I know that as we were reviewing the slides, it was very interesting that Penny and I kind of approached it from completely different directions. For Penny, the number one was the team alignment. For me, that happens to be number five because she had a large organization. She had the 18 PMSs, she had the teams, she needed to get them all in one place. Whereas I had the dependency of that one treatment coordinator slash biller that came with the
Mhm.
practice, and I was at their mercy. So I leaned more on technology and data and automation and technology as a force multiplier. I leaned more on technology to reduce my dependency on that one person. Whereas Penny's thing was she had a big team and she needed to align them, extract more value out of them. She needed to make sure that, the sum was, greater than the parts. It was very interesting. But for me and her, I think it's very different journey, different experiences. But that's the beauty of these pillars.
Mhm.
Correct. You know what? We're actually we're over time, but we can go on all night about this. So if you all don't mind, can I go to the next slide? So I can be invited back to do webinar. I
Nah,
mean,
it's my
like I said
fault.
again, we have such great information here, and like I said, please reach out to me, email me, and I will be happy to give you, more of a detailed information about the 5 pillars, plus also the assessments that's going to come up in a few few seconds, okay? All right, automation maturity levels. Real quick-ish, Penny, I want you to talk about this because, you know, you live it. You've lived it. Basic is no longer paper. Basic has changed.
Two is the new one. That's the thing. I mean, it is sink or swim. You cannot rest on your laurels. You cannot be, and that the thing to keep in mind. This is where I speak as someone who runs the business from the executive view.
Mm,
The world will keep on moving and keep on chasing you. The
mm,
margins in dentistry used to be very forgiving for the past 40 years, but it has encroached with so many investors coming in, so many businesses coming in, vendors being aggressive, interest being rates being high. You cannot stand still. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backward and you're not aware of it.
right.
So
I think
that's what
that,
I would say.
yeah, I think that people are afraid of technology and automation. They think that they're going to lose control, but you don't lose control whatsoever. I mean, in
Mhm,
fact, a lot of you out there are using your iPhone, um,
mhm.
Android. I mean, that's technology, and you can do many more things now than what you used to use iPhones back years ago, right? So, I mean, you know, Penny, your thoughts in this case?
Automation, I think it's a way of life, in
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
department you are, whatever field you are. And you need to open kind of your parameters, say, what do I need my staff to do? Do you prefer them doing the tedious job of posting payments, or do you want them to focus on that patient that's coming through the door? And I think we went from a field that, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, one-on-one was so important. Patients would come in, we knew families, children, and it was on one-on-one basis. We would call them by their first name, to barely knowing them because we're so busy with the tedious processes that we have to make sure we get paid by these payers. So
Yeah.
I think the more you automate the actual office, the more you have that connection back with those patients that you really need to keep.
Right.
And I think to me, that's the most important thing, is the actual connection that we have every day with those patients.
But the experience now, because they you know, they'll put it all through social media, right, as well. But it's what they leave coming out of your office that they, you know, wow, I'm going to go back to him or her. I tend to drive like, you know, maybe an hour, and I do now, to a dentist that I truly love, and I will keep doing it only because of the fact that they're very thorough and I get really taken care of. So very important with the respect to experience. So most practices are stuck at level 1 or 2, and the real ROI is actually in level 3 and 4. That's advanced, you know, level 3 is advanced claim scrubbing, automated AR claims management, predictive analytics. This is where you get proactive, right? And then level 4 is AI powered machine learning, intelligent workflows. I think this is the bleeding edge. So the key metrics to track, electronic claim submissions should be over 98%, and then automated payment posting over 90, and then real-time eligibility verification for over 95%. Okay, so let's go ahead and
And
get,
that actually answers one of the questions, because there were 3 Q&A questions, and please feel free to share those and we can get to those. But one of those was sharing a list of KPIs that we run daily, weekly, monthly. These would be there. So the previous 5, these 3, but watch them. Like I said, I mean, if it helps to get you in the right frame of mind, like I said, even if it's $100,000 stock portfolio with monopoly money, you will watch it every day.
right.
So are you watching your RCM account with that kind of rigor, attention, detail every day? Don't obsess over it, but do obsess over it.
Yeah, folks, that's the key to the kingdom. That's your livelihood. That's payroll, that's lights, that's chairs, loans. You know, we've all been in the trenches, so we know what is needed to keep the doors open. So really, you know, be vulnerable, think about this yourself, and ask yourself those hard truth questions, okay? All right, so let's get to technology pain points. So this is a poll. Let's see if you're still there and you're still paying attention. All right. So the technology pain point, let's find out where you're feeling the most pain. So if you could automate one RCM task tomorrow, what would it be? Joel, there you go. So our lovely assistant Joel. So if you could, it's got the polls going on right now. Let's find out where you're feeling the most pain. Where are you feeling the most pain? You wouldn't be here if you were feeling pain. So we're here to help you for sure. Okay, keeps changing Ish and Penny. But wow, this is great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll, and I'm getting the hang of it. Alrighty, I'm gonna share the results. Does everybody
Oh,
see
wow.
it?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Almost even split. So it's good that everyone's submitting their claims relatively
Mm-hmm.
well, but the other ones are, yeah, eligibility, AR follow-up, collections. Interesting.
Interesting, yeah. Denial management is huge in the industry now, folks, too. All right. Well, this is great. Thank you so much for sharing. Eligibility verification, AR follow-up. And of course, patient collections, denial management. All right. Thank you. Okay.
I would add one comment to that. Get an AI system to make all the outstanding claims calls. Very, very, very important.
Right.
These are becoming
Or
AI
do
to AI
outsourcing.
conversations as well.
Right. Or obviously think about outsourcing, right? So for those of you that are out there that want to take a picture of this, these are the critical metrics to track. So pillar 5 is data-driven decision making. So what gets measured gets managed. That's an old adage, if you will. What gets measured, you can make informed decisions. What gets measured, you can, if you have transparency and confidence, basically, I think there's a lot out there that I've seen where clients have been so successful because they are watching the revenue cycle like a hawk, or they have somebody there that's watching it for them. So here are the critical metrics every practice should track. So days in AR targeting should be 30 to 45 days. AR aging within 60 to 70% in the 0 to 30 day category. Where are you in the 0 to 30? You should be sending them out right away. Collection rates for insurance should be 95 to 98%. Clean claims rate. I know I sound like I keep saying that over and over again because I see this. I see this being in CareRevenue. I see where the challenges are and where I think about, like, if you can just tweak this, you can just get paid far sooner, far quicker. Clean claim rates, 95%. Denial rates by procedure type and time to payment by insurance carrier. So most practices don't track these consistently. They look at total revenue and think everything's fine. But you can have good revenue and you still be leaving money on the table through inefficient collection processes. Okay, so let's get to the 4-phase implementation roadmap. And I would love to send out the 5 pillars as well as a 4-phase implementation roadmap. I'll leave you my email address. If you need me to connect you with your account manager as well as CSM, email me, contact me, okay? So how do you fix this? Here's our proven 4-phase roadmap. Phase 1, assessment weeks should be done in weeks 1 and 2. Do a comprehensive RCM audit, identify the low-hanging fruit, problems that you can actually fix quickly, and set baseline metrics so you know where you're starting. Phase 2, quick wins. That should be weeks 3 to 6. Implement real-time eligibility verification, streamline claim submission processes, and establish denial management workflows. These changes should start showing results immediately. You've got to get the buy-in from your team, folks, and you've got to make sure that, teams are held accountable. And there's reasons why for that. Phase 3, optimization, that should be months 2 and 3. Technology integration and automation, team training and accountability systems, enhance patient financial experience. This is where you could build your lasting change. And then, of course, phase 4, continuous improvement that's ongoing. You should do regular performance monitoring, proactive issues identification, being strategic and optimizing your data. This keeps you ahead of the curve permanently. The key is starting with quick wins to build momentum. And also, I think that your team would love to see that, right? Because as always, change management is hard.
Yeah. Gotta give them some wins. And if I may add something, it goes I should have requested to include this in the phase 3, because when our practice was going through phase 3, before and after phase 3, my team looks very different. It is part of that hard conversation that a lot of people that are with you today will not be with you tomorrow, because the
Mhm.
profile of people you need changes. And I did allude to that when I said that I do not want to be beholden to that one biller who knows how to do things, and they own their job, they can pace it the way they want. They may be at a different trajectory and velocity than I need to be as a practice owner, as a business operator. So the profile does change. If you utilize technology to go through a lot of things, then you don't have that hard requirement of having to hire people with deep dental specific domain knowledge. The kind of people that we look to hire now are more from the domain of great, uh, customer service. Someone who will walk into a room and with a beaming smile, they will own the room. We need that more than someone who knows what percent of this plan in Cigna does this and that and whatnot. That's a race to the bottom, pretty much. So that's where technology comes in. And again, for someone like that, it's very, very important.
Okay, so I see a couple of people just dropping off, so I know there's a lot of great things here. So high impact automation opportunities, you just talked about technology. These are specific areas where automation delivers the biggest impact. Automated insurance verification, electronic payment posting, claim scrubbing before submission, very important. Automated AR follow-up alerts and patient payment portals. These are the exact areas where you'll see the fastest return on investment. Email me and I'll give you the information. All righty. And then, what a 10% improvement could mean. Wait, these are the correct numbers. Let me give you the correct numbers. 2 million practice, an additional 200K annually. 1 million is an additional 100K. $500,000 practice, an additional 50,000. I mean, what could you do with that? But the real value goes beyond revenue. Reduce staff stress and turnover. We've been seeing that throughout the years now. And it's going to get worse because of these insurance companies that are merging, buying each other out. Plans, these umbrella plans, and they keep changing. So yeah, your team isn't constantly fighting fires. Improve patient satisfaction. That is key. That is where hygienist and dentist, that's where you went to school for. And I know that's what you love to do. That's the reason why you're here. So improved patient satisfaction and smoother financial experience, better cash flow and profitability. And guess what? When the money's coming in, so that you have more time to focus on patient care instead of administrative problems. Okay. One last thing before we end. So here's the last poll. Thank you for those of you that are actually still here with us. So before we wrap up, I want to understand what's holding you back. What's your biggest barrier to improving RCM? These are legitimate concerns, right? And as we address every one of them, is in our implementation process. So the poll's out there. All right. Okay. Let's stop it now due to time. Time and staff training. Do you all see it?
Mr. Yeah, that does reflect one of the Q&A questions as well, because that was
Right.
about whether we offer billing and coding training for staff. That's in your wheelhouse, Maria.
Right. But also, I'm it's kind of shocked to see about technology, because technology is key right now, folks. I mean, it's changing to get to that point. So something to think about and start embracing it, because I mean, our two speakers here are walking the walk, basically. They're in it. And then you don't know where to start and the cost. Well, you can always email me and let's get connected. Okay. Thank you so much. All righty. So what are your next steps? Well, you need to conduct an honest RCM assessment using our framework. identify your top 3 improvement opportunities based on potential impact. Don't try to, what's the word, boil the ocean. Pick the 3 things that will give you the biggest bang for your buck. And then third, create an implementation timeline with specific milestones. Write it down, put it in a spreadsheet. If you're Excel, Google Docs, what have you. If you don't write it down, then what's your intention? You're just thinking about it, right? But not doing something about it. Action on it. Then fourth, establish baseline metrics to measure your progress. You can't improve what you don't measure, and you definitely can't celebrate wins if you don't know where you started. If you're going to be doing this, that's your intention. You're starting the process. Your team also needs to see the quick wins, right? And then team, fifth, get your team aligned on the importance of RCM optimization. This only works if everyone's rowing in the same direction. You know, I've had some doctors tell me now they can do bonuses. They've been able to give increases. There's a lot to do when you have a system in place and you're getting paid far much quicker. And then don't forget, technology exists. The processes are proven. And the only question is how quickly you're willing to start. Every day is a delay and money's left on the table. And then one last thing before I say thank you. Oopsies. Fifth poll. If you're interested in streamlining your RCM, and before we wrap it up, I have one final question for you.
And while that's going on, we did have some very good questions, Maria. I don't know if you can see the comments and Q&A. We had some very good detailed questions. Shout out to you. We should definitely have the account managers reach out.
Right.
And
we're gonna
something
have this, by the way. We're gonna save all those comments. Enter in your contact information on the chat if you'd like. I will personally make sure, my team and I will make sure that we contact you. So yeah, are you ready to take action on streamlining your RCM? Maybe later. Absolutely, yes. Maybe later, think about how much you're losing, or maybe you're in a good space now, but what are the other areas of opportunity? And if you're at no, what's blocking you? All right, so just those are questions to ask. So this is exactly what we hope for today, that, you know, that you're leaving here, you know, to be more informed, and that you have learned and are ready to take action, and having the intention to do so. So shoot me an email at Maria Fuertes, M Fuertes, that's M as in Mary, Fuertes. It's not Fuentes, but Fuertes at carestack.com. Tell me about your practice, your biggest RCM challenge, and what you want to accomplish. I promise you, I'll get you a real response. You want to have the PDF of the 5 pillars, as well as the assessments and the timeline. Email me and I'll connect with you. All right, so I'm going to do this, share. This is what it is. Pretty absolutely awesome. Maybe later.
Some good questions, some questions about out of network offices. Those are pretty good. I think there are ways to configure. I don't want to go into the weeds. My head is going into the solutioning, but let's save them for the account managers.
Yes, we may have to have a part 2.
Yeah.
All right.
So it seems.
Yes. So thank you all for your, oh, I think Jolie had raised her hand. Jolie, if you need to talk to me, or just feel free to email me, and I will get back to you, okay? I hope everybody's doing well out there. So thank you all for your time and engagement today. I hope you can see that finding your RCM isn't some mysterious black magic. It's systematic, it's measurable, and honestly, it's a lot more straightforward than most people think. Remember, the question isn't whether you need to improve your RCM, it's how quickly you can actually start. And for those of you that are ready to take action, you know where to find me, mfuertes at carestack.com. Don't let this be another someday project. Your future will thank you for starting today. Ish and Penny, I can't thank you enough. Very much so. Thank you so much for
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Sharing so much for
sharing your experiences, your journey, if you will, your words of wisdom. I so appreciate it. And our viewers out there, thank you so much for being part of this webinar. We appreciate you all. Thank you.